What's up, you guys? This is Professor Ron with OneHourProfessor.com, and today's video is a little bit of a weird one, admittedly. So today's video, I am going to focus on how to start a book blog. Now, I know that there's plenty of you out there on my YouTube channel that are thinking, Ron, why are you focused on this? I'm not interested in books. Or maybe you are. That'd be great if you are. But if you're not, let me explain. So I created a guide on my website, OneHourProfessor.com. And if you want to follow along in that guide, it is in the description below. There's a link there. So this guide talked about how to start a book blog. And I did this because I had someone who sent me an email and I thought, you know what, let me throw something together that'll be helpful for all the people that need it. It actually did reasonably well. I'm now getting a few different emails about it. And I thought, you know what, this is great. I'm helping some people, which is what my website's all about. But I thought I want to expand into video as well on YouTube so that people who are looking on YouTube can also find it. So that's why I'm creating this video, and that is why I am posting it to the YouTube here. So it will be helpful for everybody that's looking to create a book blog, and I think it'll be helpful for some other people as well, probably some hints and tips along the way. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to start this one and I need you to follow along with me here. So again, go into the description of this video and there is a link there that leads you to how to start a book blog, my guide on it. And I do want to say this here, you can see on my screen here, this is the book blog guide itself. This is a long one. It's about 7,000 words. There's a lot to it. I'm not going to go over all 7,000 words. I'm not just going to read through this because that would be incredibly boring. But I am going to kind of skip around and show you what this is about and kind of go step by step. There's 10 different steps to this. Go step by step and give you some of my thoughts along the way. And then, like I said, in the description, there's the link. You can click into there. You definitely want to go there though, because I have all the links to the different resources that I refer to and everything that you really need to find. You'll have to click those links to get to it. So make sure that you check that out, but let me go ahead and start on this here. So first off, I do want to say for someone who has just found me, if you're thinking, well, who is Ron? Who's this Professor Ron guy? 1 Hour Professor, what is he all about? So I have been in the business of creating blogs and websites for about 6 years now. And I have on my own website here, and you can see, I mean, it's all public information here. I have it all here. You can see I have income reports. So I'm telling you this for one reason. So I started out, you know, like most of you that are starting out, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I want to start a blog. I started one, didn't know what I was doing. First year, I was negative almost $1,500 for the year. I keep track of all my income and expenses. Second year, a little better, almost 6,000. Skip ahead forward here, and last year I was able to make about $216,000. And I've done this by creating a blog that did really well, and then I created another blog, and another blog, and another blog, and I've expanded them into full-blown websites with all this stuff on them. So I really understand this. I have a full portfolio of 8 different websites. So that's where my information comes from. So the information that I tell you here about creating a book blog, it should be really helpful. Anyway, now that you know about me, let me jump back here. So how to start a book blog. So I'm not going to go over the beginning here. This kind of talks about, you know, everything related to how many people are consuming books and all that. Obviously, there's a ton of people that still read books. I know not a lot of paperback books are being read nowadays, but there's still a ton of people that read on e-readers and electronic books. It's a very, very popular thing to do. So if you're one of those people that does it, you're very normal. There's a lot of people that do this. And this is basically talking about, you know, why it's a good idea to start a book blog. And we have, like I said, 10 simple steps to do so. Some compelling reasons to start a book blog this year, so why you would want to start one. First, you can share the books that you love. If you're really passionate about books and reading books and you want to recommend them to the others, that's a great reason to start a book blog. Next, you can let your voice be heard. If you're really outspoken or you have strong opinions about certain books or a lot of books that you read and you really want to talk about them, you can have a blog to, you know, put that information out on the internet as well. Next is to build your resume. Not a lot of people think about this one, but creating a book blog, or really any blog, it's actually a huge resume builder, because when you do this, you can then show future employers that, hey, I have this blog. This is something I do on the side. Now, this is really important because, especially for a book blogger, if you want to become someone who ends up working at a publisher, or you want to somehow, maybe copyright or be the copywriter or proofreader for people who write books. If you want to do that kind of thing, this is a great way to go. Okay. It's a great resume builder for that kind of thing. If it's not so much for that, that's fine too, but just know that this is going to be big on your resume if you decide to disclose it to employers. Next, number 4, it's going to improve your writing skills. So this is self-explanatory. If you're blogging all the time, and I know this because I've done it, it improves your writing skills for the simple reason that you're writing all the time. You get better. You understand grammar and punctuation better, which is obviously a positive, not just personally, but professionally as well. Next is that you can join or create a community of like-minded individuals. So this is an important one, I think, for a lot of book readers, the really avid ones who really enjoy it, is that you want to be part of a community. And you might be in an area, in a rural area, where you don't have that community. Maybe you just can't find it, or you haven't found it in person. That's fine. If you create a book blog, you can actually be the one who establishes a new community online of other people who love books. People will find you. And when they do, you can converse with them. You can make lifelong friends this way as well, which is nice. And then lastly, number 6 is making money. So this may not be top of mind for you right now. I get it. But you can make money with a book blog. Okay, this is possible. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but blogging about books does lead to additional income opportunities. And it could be an extra $200, could be an extra $500. There's a lot of money that could be made there. It really depends on what, how hard you're going to push and how hard you're going to push to make it so that every month, hopefully, you're able to make some decent money from this. And we will talk about how to monetize the blog by the end of this. So just stick till the end and you'll see all of it. Okay, so if you're following along, again, go into the description, into the link there, and you can follow along here. But I have a table of contents. Just to be clear, if you want to look at any of these, you could just click on them and boom, you're going to be able to go right to it and you'll be able to see that particular area of the blog post that I've done here. But I'm not going to talk about the table of contents here. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. So step 1, we'll go through the 10 steps. I'll try to keep it kind of brief, but helpful at the same time. So step 1, decide on the focus of your book blog. So you have to, with a book blog, you have to decide what it is that you really want to focus on, right? What is it that you want to achieve with your blog? What's the inspiration for starting your book blog? That's really important because when you're starting one, you have to be inspired. There has to be a reason. What is it that you kind of want to do with it? How, what direction do you want to go? Are you doing it as a hobby or as a future career? And yes, this being someone who owns a book blog, this can be a career. Okay, there's a lot of money to be made on websites and blogging in general. So yes, it can be. And then, do you want to blog about an area of books, or maybe settle on a particular genre? Or just all kinds of books. Those are decisions that you have to make in the beginning to kind of give yourself a little bit of direction, okay? So here's some ideas that I came up with that I think would be helpful for you. So number 1 would be book reviews. So if you just want to do book reviews, let's say you read a lot of books and you just want to do book reviews and talk about it, then you can absolutely, with that, create book reviews, talk about the different books that you've read, and other people who are going to read those books or who have read those books can chime in or research to see if they want to even read the book. Next is book recommendations. So this is kind of like a book club, but if you want to have a blog where you're kind of a thought leader and you have a following and you recommend books to them and they're like, oh, this is a great book, and oh, I really like this one. And then eventually what happens is they start to trust you and you really do become a leader in the industry of recommending books, right? And you could be the individual that leads the charge in recommending books. That would be a great thing if you're, really passionate about specific genres or just specific types of books in general. Next is number 3, discussions. So with a book blog, you can talk about any topic that you want. It could be, individual books or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. The point is, when you have a blog, you can open up discussions about certain books. So you can discuss books. Now you're wondering, well, who is it that I discuss the books with? Well, what happens is, as you start a blog and as you grow the blog, you're going to get a following. And that following, when you post something new on your blog posts, is going to comment in the blog posts, and they are going to give their feedback. So when you ask questions and you do discussions, people will converse with you through comments, and you can, like I said, kind of create a community with that. Number 4 is criticizing books. So this goes into kind of reviewing books, but if you want to be a book critic, right? They have movie critics. Why not book critics? If you want to be a book critic, you can go that route as well. If you want to critically, look at a book and the author and what they've done and the plot and the storyline and all that, you can do that. It's your voice. It's your blog. You can do whatever you want on it. Idea number 5 is tips and how-tos. So this is a unique one. So you have a book blog, which would be great. You can have all these different things on it. But one of the things that you can do is maybe you can give tips for people who are looking to write their own book, or maybe becoming an editor for books. Or maybe you could create how-tos on how to do certain things from a technical standpoint with books, how to find a publisher, all that sort of stuff. The idea there is that you can be helpful to individuals that are looking to write their own books. You can create a book blog focused on that as well. Next, you could just do like a general book blog. So maybe you're not really sure and you just want to write about books. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You can find your voice, as you go. You can choose from all of these different categories. The key is to just get started. That's the whole key with any of this. And if you want to create a general book blog and then kind of find your voice as you go, nothing wrong with that at all. Plenty of people do it. I did it when I started, so I totally understand. The point here is that the options for a book blogger are numerous. There's a lot of different things that you can do. One of the things that you can really do to be successful, which I think is a great idea, is if you would click on like on this video so other people could find it, and also click on subscribe so that you don't miss out. I want you to be part of the community here with 1 Hour Professor, be part of my YouTube community. It'd be awesome if you would. Anyways, let me jump back in here. So step two is to choose your book niche, okay? So you have to choose the book niche that you want to be in. You can technically write about everything. I don't advise that, because when you write about certain niches, you get a strong following with a strong affinity to you about a particular topic, okay? So you really have 2 main categories. You have fiction and nonfiction for books, generally speaking. Fiction, I'm not going to read all this, but basically we have romance, fantasy, crime, drama, horror, mystery, science fiction, and graphic novel. That's fiction. Nonfiction, biography/autobiography, narrative nonfiction, religion and spirituality, periodicals, and reference books. Look through those, maybe look at the ones that you really enjoy. And again, you can go into the description and there's a link there that will bring you to this guide. Look through those and then decide, you know what, this is kind of the direction that I want to go. This is where I think I should do it. I'll go to this one. Step 3 is to choose your blog platform. Now, a lot of people get tripped up here, okay? And I'm going to make it very clear what my recommendation is here. So there are a lot of free blogging platforms out there, okay? There's no shortage of them. There's Blogger, Wix, Squarespace, Tumblr, WordPress.com, not WordPress.org, but WordPress.com. And while they are free, right, which is nice, I absolutely would not recommend them, okay? And there's really some very, very compelling reasons for this, and you really need to pay attention here, because if you choose these and you go with the free versions, I feel like it's a pretty big hindrance on any future potential anything that you might create, okay? So let me talk about the reasons. So why should you choose a self-hosted or paid version of a platform versus the free alternatives? Why would you do that? So professional looking domain, first off, is when you have a website that you own, and I'm going to use the example awesomebookblog.com. When you have a website that you own, it looks much more professional as awesomebookblog.com versus if you were to go with like WordPress.com, which is the free version, it would be awesomebookblog.wordpress.com. Or it could be awesomebookblog.wix.com, right? It doesn't matter, whatever platform you use, whatever free one you use. They have a domain name that isn't really professional. And people take notice of that. People notice that. So when they visit, they may be like, oh, whatever, this is just kind of like a hobby thing. If you're looking to establish anything or aside from credibility, but maybe a potential business out of this in the future, or want to really show it in a way that looks professional, you need to have your own domain on your own hosting, okay? And just to be clear, and I'll get into this in the next step, but hosting is not expensive. I have a deal to where you can get it for $50 for a whole year, okay, with a good host too. I'll talk about that, but let's not get into that now. So next is you want to build your audience trust. That's another reason why you want to choose a paid platform. That trust And that credibility is everything, especially in the beginning. If you have a amateur looking domain name, you're going to be treated as an amateur, and you're never really going to be able to grow to the point that you're going to, really want to. And quite frankly, a lot of people probably won't really take you seriously, which is not a good thing. Another thing is that when you get a paid version of the platform at first, when you start that way, then you are going to never lose your followers. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. If you are to go to awesomebookblog.wix.com, that's the website that you create because you create a free website on Wix. You create that and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go with this. This is the right way to do it. And you create it and you're like, all right, here we go. There's a big problem there. When you eventually decide to change your domain name because your blog is growing and you're like, wow, it's starting to work. Now I need to make it look official, which you should have done that in the beginning. But you're like, now I need to make this look official. And you change to awesomebookblog.com. All the people that knew your other domain name of awesomebookblog.wix.com, now they might have a hard time finding you. Okay, so that becomes a really, really big problem, right? And that is something that can really hinder your business because it's like you build it for a year to a certain point and then you move and then people have a hard time finding you. That's not good. And then the last thing, which I think is the scariest thing, you don't actually own the content, okay? When you create on a free platform, you are creating in a free platform. It's their hosting, their website. They own it all. So if for whatever reason the service, they lose your website or they decide to delete your website for whatever reason, and I don't know, how many times this happens, but if they have any reason to want to do this, if they think that you violated something or did anything wrong, they could just delete it and you have no recourse. There's nothing that you can do because they owned the content in the first place. You're building everything on their platform. That's scary. I would never run a business that way, and I obviously don't recommend anyone else does either. So that is a really big reason to not create on a free platform. Other reasons, I will say, I recommend WordPress.org for this. WordPress is the platform. Basically, every website has a back end to it. And I'll go over this in the future too. Don't worry about it. But WordPress.org is basically the platform. It's called a content management system if you want to get technical. And that is where you can manage what you're writing, where your posts are, the way that your website looks, all that stuff. That's what that does. So I recommend WordPress for every single website. This is free, by the way. WordPress, the version that I'm telling you about, is free. This part is free. And we'll talk about how it all fits in because I know I said don't use free ones, but this is a free CMS. So I know it's a little complicated. Let me get to it. So you want to choose WordPress, okay? 60% of blogs are built on WordPress. The majority of them, you can see here that this is the blogging platform. Top 100 blogs in the world are 48% are on WordPress. You can see this graph right here. In addition to that, 400 million visitors each month hit WordPress. Number of websites using WordPress grows every year. 660 WordPress websites created every single day. There's 50,000 plugins in WordPress. This is probably the best thing about WordPress. So it is free to put your website on WordPress, but the best thing about it is that they have all these plugins. This is really important because if you need, let's say, a contact page and you need a form, if you don't know how to code, which I don't, if you don't know how to code, you have to hire a developer to do that. But if you have a plugin in WordPress, you can actually do it for free. There's a lot, that's just one example. There's thousands of examples of that. So trust me, that is a really big thing. And as I say here, I do want to just highlight this. I personally use WordPress for my entire portfolio, okay, of all my websites for one reason. It's just simply the best option. So WordPress.org is the right one that you want to use. So let me talk about, don't go off and say, okay, I'm going to create a WordPress. Don't do any of that yet. Let me continue talking here. There's some stuff that you need to pay attention to. So step 4 is deciding on your domain name, okay? When you're deciding on a domain name, a lot of people get stuck here. They get really overwhelmed with it and they think, well, I can't really create a domain name and I don't know which one to go with. So let me just put some simple things out there. First impressions are important. That's the first thing that people are going to see is your domain name. That's what they're going to remember you by. So you want to try to keep it catchy. Next is search engine optimization. So this gets into, there's some technical stuff here. I'm not going to get into it here, but if you want your website to be found on Google, which you do, all search engines, you want them to be found because they'll bring you a lot of traffic once you get established. If you want to be found, it makes sense to make it so that your domain has something related to what the topic is. So in this case, it's books, right? Let's say that you liked romance novels, okay? And you're creating a book blog about romance novels. You would want to then somehow in your URL probably include something about romance and novels. Maybe not romancenovels.com, because I'm sure that's taken, but something to where those are related and somehow in there so that it's kind of catchy and the individual who finds you through search engines will be able to remember you, right? And then it is also big just because search engines, they send most of the traffic. So when your URL, your domain name, as they call it, when that is related to the content on your site and the topic, it makes sense. It's just logical. Next is branding. You want to create a URL that is brandable, right? Something that makes sense in the future and you can use it to brand and create a whole business out of. That's kind of just obvious business 101 stuff. Now, you can watch this whole video here. I have it again in the description. If you would go into there and click on the link, I have in the guide, I have a embedded video here that I did previously. This video will help you immensely understanding how to choose the perfect domain name, okay? Now, I go over all these different things here and I talk about why you should choose a domain name and all the different things that you need to know. I don't want to spend too much time on this here because it's all written within the guide, guys. So I recommend that, again, you just check out the guide for that. And there, like I said, you can just watch this video. So you can do that. Next, let me see here. So I do want to talk about some examples of successful book blogs and their domain names. So we see bustlebooks.com, right? And I tell you why all the domain names are good, right? But we have bustlebooks.com, The Uncorked Librarian, readerwitch.com, bookriot.com, quillenquire.com. All of these are memorable, right? I say them and they're pretty easy to remember. And the branding is definitely there. And there's some good things, you'll notice that they're all .coms. I talk about everything that you need to do up here. So I'm not going to get into it here. Just check out in the link below. You'll be able to do that. Also, I will say, if you're still following along and you're enjoying this, please, again, click like so other people can find it. I'd really appreciate that. And click subscribe because I want you as part of my community. I love it when people become part of my community and I want you to be part of it. I respond to my comments. I really love the community I'm building here and I want you to be a part of it. Anyways, I digress. Step 5, buy your domain name and hosting. So this is where things get technical and people get really, really confused because they're like, okay, I'm ready to go. I've got my domain name figured out. I know what I'm going to do. And then they're like, oh God, I don't know how to buy this. I don't know how to do it. I'm with you. I understand. So what I did is if you go again into the description and click on the link, you will be able to come to this guide and I give you not only a video, okay, I also show you with screenshots every single thing that you need to do, okay? And I do want to point out, again, one thing here because I'm not going to focus on price here, but I want to make it clear. So with the link that I have, so if you go up right here, click on this link to visit SiteGround, right? If you click on that, it's going to bring you right over to SiteGround and you can actually purchase just as you need with everything. But the point is that when you, sorry, I want to click this into a different thing. When you open this, you're going to see the startup plan with my link is $395 a month, okay? The total that you're going to spend in the first year is under $50 for your blog and hosting and all that, which is obviously a pretty good deal to start a book blog. So following this along, so let me get into this. So you can do how to buy hosting and your domain. If you watch this video all the way through, it literally shows you step by step everything. I actually buy a hosting and domain on the video. Okay, I do it right there in front of you. So it's pretty foolproof. I show you exactly what you need to do. But if you don't want to watch a video for some reason, you can look at all these different screenshots and go through them. One thing I do want to say too, which is nice, all plans have a 30-day money-back guarantee. I think that's important. I think it's good to know. It just, makes you feel good. And I recommend a good host and the one that I always use for my websites and everything with my business that, like I said, has achieved over $200,000 last year. So it's a reputable one that I highly recommend that's very, very reasonably priced. Okay, so towards the end of it, I talk about how to actually log into your website and all that. And then we go to choose and install a theme for your book blog. So now that you actually have a domain name, because at this point you actually will, it'll only take you like 10 minutes to do. now that you have a domain name and you have your website, you need to choose a theme. So what is a theme? A theme is basically the way that the website looks, right? Everything related to how the website looks, how it functions, all that stuff. I talk about the importance of different themes, things that you want to look for, and then I made it as easy as possible. I actually gave you 5 different themes that you can consider, okay? There's a lot more themes out there, but these are the 5 that I think you can consider. I will say I'm going to be adding something to this in the future to talk about a theme that I use for all my websites that's you can really adapt and customize it to work for anything that you want. But for right now, you can go with these 5. This screen, this area may change a little bit on this guide in the future, but for right now, it's good as is. Okay, so after you have your theme, you've got your domain name, you've got your hosting, you've got your theme, your website's looking good. Now you need to create step 7, the essential pages, okay? This is creating the about page, which a lot of people will go to your about page. It's actually one of my most visited pages. So your about page, your contact page, so if people want to reach you, they're able to reach you, so you have to create that. And then you have to create a privacy policy. So again, in the description, there is a link to the guide. Right here, if you click on this link, it's a free online tool. It'll help you generate a privacy page. Super easy to use, and it'll help you understand exactly what you need to do for your privacy page. And like I said, it's free, so you can't beat that. Step 8 is to begin blogging. So you'll notice there was some stuff here that came ahead of actually blogging, and that's because you got to do the technical stuff, right? You could technically pay someone for this, but it could cost you $500, $1,000, $2,000. Instead of that, you can set all this up yourself. It's really, really not that hard. You don't have to be a coder, okay? So don't be intimidated. But step 8, let's talk about beginning your blog. So now you're going to actually start blogging. You're going to begin blogging. You can review popular books, interview authors, which would be great if you want to meet some of your own authors. Create like rankings on different books that rank the books that you prefer versus those that you don't, and kind of say why. Suggest books for a niche audience. So again, if you did a romance novel thing, you could suggest books for romance novel lovers and talk about that. Or you can, give young and talented authors a platform to share their work with your audience. So maybe that's a way that you can kind of bring other authors in that are really hungry, really trying, and share them with your audience. And by the way, you could probably make some money doing that too, but that's the next step. So the list goes on. The point is here, when you're blogging and you begin blogging, you can do what you want to do. This is your business. This is your blog. This is something you have created. So you have all the freedom in the world to do whatever you want. And let me tell you, that is, I think, the most rewarding thing about owning a blog in the first place, is to have the freedom to work on whatever you want to work on. There's some pro tips here, and I talk a little bit about strategy. So again, just check out the guide to look at that. Step 9, so the next step here is promoting your book blog. Now, when it comes to promoting your book blog, there's a lot of different steps that you can take. I talk about them here, but I'll just briefly go over them. So tell your friends and family, promote your new book blog on social media, go to your book clubs that you may join, or maybe find new book clubs and talk about it. Create an email list and continually curate people and tell them about what you're doing. That's a really good way to grow any blog. Next is using sharing buttons on your blog. This is a great way to get the word out, because people share your blog and your posts on social media, and then more people see them and they share them, so it gets bigger and bigger. Cross-posting. This is an interesting one, but this is basically when you go to forums or you go to like Facebook groups and you kind of talk about your book blog as well, and you do a little bit of that. That can actually work really, really well. Next is search engine optimization. Again, this stuff is technical. I'm not going to go over it in great detail, but it's basically the ability to make it so that search engines can find everything that they need to about your blog and put it onto their results so that you get free traffic. That's kind of the idea there. And then number 8 is you can just connect with other book bloggers, right? Now that you're in the club of book bloggers, you can reach out. You'd be surprised. Like, it's a small world. Like, publishers like to talk to publishers. I know everybody in the online business space. Well, not everyone, but I know a lot of them personally. We've talked numerous times. We've been on each other's YouTube channels, podcasts, all that stuff, because it's nice to connect with people who are like-minded. It just is. And I know they're competition, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there who like books. So they usually don't mind connecting as well. So number 10, so let's talk about making some money here. I think that's important with not just a book blog, but really any blog. So there's a lot of ways to make money. And even with a book blog, you might be thinking, well, I'm just going to write about books that I like and I can't make. You can make a lot of money with any blog, book blogs included. So let's talk about this. So first off is affiliate marketing. If you're not familiar with it, affiliate marketing is basically you refer people to go buy a product, and if they buy it through your link, then you'll get a commission. Easiest example I can think of with this one, with affiliate marketing, a book blog. If you recommend a book to people and you recommend it from Amazon, say, if people go through your link and they purchase that book on Amazon, you will get a commission for that, okay? That's how that works. That's how affiliate marketing works. And there's a lot of examples, a lot of different things you can do, but that's a simple example. Next is display ads. So you know how on websites they have those little ads, those ads that pop up, and you may not click on them. Maybe you're like, I don't click on those. A lot of people do. And how do I know? That's actually how I bought this house behind me and how I make a living, and a good living at that. I usually use display ads to monetize my websites, and you can make good money with them. There's a lot to it, but that's another way to make money. Direct advertising. So this is where you partner up with maybe authors and publishers, and you find a way to basically say, hey, will you take on an ad on my website and I will feature you, and you pay me X amount of dollars a month, maybe $200-$300 a month, and your ad will be shown the whole month. Some people will actually go for that. And there is money there. There's partnerships to be made. So there's some bigger money there. Next is create an information product. So this would be in the situation where you're like, okay, maybe you want to create your own book and try to sell that. Or maybe you're saying, I want to create an ebook helping people write their own books, or how to sell their own books, right? There's a lot of people who want to do that. So you can create an informational product helping people and then sell that informational product to people and make money that way. Next is Patreon. This is one that not a lot of people really talk about, but it's important. Patreon is a platform where you have it there and you basically say to your audience, hey guys, if you enjoy what I do, please support me on Patreon. What they can do is then they can basically donate. And what they're doing is, out of the goodness of their hearts, donating to encourage you and to help you with your business and help you grow your business. I know it sounds crazy and you're probably thinking, well, why would anyone do that? People do this. People make a lot of money doing this. It's a real thing. Once you have a very loyal following, they will follow you to the ends of the earth to make sure that you stay in business and keep doing what you're doing. And then lastly here, we have sponsored posts. Now this one, you want to tread a little bit lightly, but there are definitely publications that will go to your book blog once it gets popular and say, I want to take out a sponsored post. Can I do a sponsored post? Authors are a very good example of this. Hey, I love what you're doing on your website. Can I do a sponsored post about my book and talk about my book? It depends on, if you want to say yes or no to this. But if you say yes, people pay hundreds of dollars for every single one of these, and they'll even write all the content. All you have to do is copy and paste into your blog. So it is pretty easy money. You have to grow your blog to get there. But if you have an established book blog, you can legitimately do this. It does work. So bottom line, how to start a book blog, have fun, you guys. If you are passionate enough, and you have to be if you're looking to create a book blog, if you're passionate enough about looking to create one on this, you have that passion. That's the most important thing. So this should be fun for you, okay? Don't muddle it all up and say, we got to create a business out of this and put all the pressure on it. Just enjoy it. Starting out small is perfectly fine. And what you'll find is that over time, you'll get bigger and bigger. And if you continue to work on it, you will be able to grow an established business. And hopefully, you'll be one of my success stories where you were able to leave a full-time job and actually make more money on your blog. I would love to hear those success stories if I can help contribute into one of those. So that's pretty much it, you guys. If you have any questions, please, in the comments below, I'd appreciate it if you ask those questions, or just, go to the guide on the website that I talked about numerous times. It's in the description below. Go into the guide and leave a comment there as well. That works. And also, please, if you found this helpful, like this video so other people can find it, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be part of my community. I'm creating a ton of content about blogging, and I want you to be a part of it. That's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it, and thank you, as always, for all the support, and I will see you in the next one.